Thank you all for joining me today. I'm Daniel Shue, the Old House Agent, and I have with me today my friend Whitney Manahan, who is the Director of Architecture and Design for Burwell Construction. She also serves with me on the Historic Preservation Award Committee for Virginia. And I brought her on the show today. She was very gracious to come and talk to us about tax credits. It's a question I get a lot from clients and friends. People think there are many grants and tax credits out there that make fixing your house so easy, and that's not always the case. Some of those misconceptions are also on the other side, so maybe your house does qualify and you don't know that. So I really appreciate Whitney coming on today, and so let's talk about some tax credits.
Thank you for having me. First, I have to give a little disclaimer. I'm not an attorney or a tax professional, so when it comes to tax credits, please go talk to those professionals about that. I'm just an architect who has worked in development and had some experience with tax credits, so happy to share.
Lots of experience, I'm sure. So my first question to you, and this is the question on everyone's mind, is what are tax credits?
So tax credits are exactly what they say they are. They're a credit that you can use towards your taxes after the completion of a historic preservation project. So it's not a grant or a loan or any money that you're getting up front. It's a credit on your taxes after the fact. So there's actually two types of historic tax credits. So there's federal and then there's state. Not all states have them though. Virginia has a state tax credit. Tennessee does not.
Interesting. And how much are tax credits?
So the federal tax credit is 20% of your hard costs. That's kind of a summary statement, hard costs of your construction project. And then Virginia is 25%. So you can use those in combination. So in Virginia, you can actually get up to 45% of your hard costs back as a tax credit, which is amazing. And then also, if you don't have a tax burden that's that high, you can actually partner with groups that do need that tax credit, and that's called syndication.
Wow, that's very cool. And then the next big question is, who can get tax credits? Who is eligible for this?
Right, so that would be the building owner, or a tenant can actually get them too. It's a little bit more of a complicated process, but they can. And the property does have to be an income producing property. So typically it applies to commercial projects. If it's a residential project, it's typically only going to apply if, say for instance, they use it as a bed and breakfast or something like that. So you're really just looking at something that is income producing.
Mm. And what advice do you have for homeowners if that's the case?
So what I would recommend is, local municipalities and local organizations really look at ways to help homeowners through different grants and things like that.
And so I guess this is something that you just can Google and fill out an application and it's done in like 5 minutes. That's probably not very accurate. So how do you get these tax credits?
Yes. If only it were that easy. So a project has to be either eligible or already on the National Register of Historic Places. So to qualify for that, the building has to be 50 years old at least, which is 1974, which many people are going to be upset about the fact that 1974 means historic. But it actually means that a lot of great mid-century architecture that we have now qualifies. And then it has to meet a couple other criteria. So it has to be associated with a historic person or historic event. It has to be, a special kind of architecture or construction type. Or it has to be able to provide historical information. So that might be social, cultural, economic, or kind of built environment types of developments.
Yeah, so here at the King House, we have apparently some large evidence that Andrew Jackson stayed here, and we now think that James Polk and Andrew Johnson stayed here also. So I have documents that thick when it was put on the National Registry. I haven't read through all of them, but I have a funny feeling that has something to do with it. Of course, this also has cultural significance because the builder had the Beaver Creek Ironworks. So stuff like that's what you're looking for.
And I think it's really important to try to get as many properties on the National Register as possible, because even if you're not going to do a project that qualifies for tax credits, it's important to have that recognition and get that history documented as well. And someone in the future might, it depends on how cities develop and things like that, but that is very important.
Absolutely. And how can tax credits help people? Is this something that they, they're going to get $1 million back on their taxes the next year, or how does this help them out?
The biggest reason for using tax credits or even having tax credits available is to incentivize development and incentivize restoring properties. Restoration of a project, to get it to the quality that it was originally, is expensive. And, that is recognized. It's really hard to do it to that level today. And so that really helps promote that. And part of the reason that it's used on commercial buildings is because it has more of a broad impact. So you're not just benefiting one homeowner at a time or one property at a time. Typically you have a multi-tenant building. It supports development on the projects nearby or nearby neighborhoods, and it really kind of spreads out that impact.
I love that community aspect of it. That's what I'm all about. And so you said tenants could get them, and we won't go into that today, and also homeowners. But can this help investors also?
Yes, actually, and there's a big movement towards that. A lot of people want to do restoration projects and utilize the tax credits, but they don't necessarily need the tax credits. And so you have a lot of investors who are really looking to put their money towards a good cause. And so there's a term for that. It's called impact investing. And so that's, that can be projects related to social justice, to sustainability, or historic preservation is a big one. And so they get to utilize the historic tax credits through that type of investment.
Most people that I know that have gotten tax credits had an architect that worked on the project. Do you have to have an architect in order to get these to help you with it?
I would highly recommend it. The tax credit process does involve applications. So part one, there's a 3-part application process. So part one is to make sure that it's eligible. So you go through that whole National Register nomination or eligibility, and you document the process and the existing conditions of the building. That in itself usually requires someone with a little, experience to put that together. And then part 2 is where you provide the plans for your project. And so this is overseen by the State Historic Preservation Office and the National Park Service. So state is the state level, National Park Service is the federal level. And we call it the SHPO. The SHPO is even involved at the state level if you don't have state tax credits. But they oversee this process. And for part 2, they look at your plan and they tell you if it's approved or not. And those plans have to be based on the Secretary of the Interior standards. So this is, developed a long time ago. The Secretary of the Interior is a cabinet member currently, but this was developed, many years ago. And then step 3 is once your project is done, you submit the conditions, how it turned out, and they make sure that it was done to, the way that you said you were going to do it, and then they'll finally approve your tax credit. So definitely get involved with, consultants, architects, and get involved with your State Historic Preservation Office before you start construction.
And that's great information, because that's the whole point in this, is to make sure that these buildings are saved the right way. And following the Secretary of Interior standards is important in this process. Not everybody can. Of course, I have a good friend of mine that said vinyl siding has saved a lot of houses from demolition. So there are lots of ways to look at this, but this is the most important way to go about it. And it benefits you too, so that's wonderful. Well, I really appreciate you coming by the King House and talking with us about this. I'm sure everyone watching appreciates it also, and hopefully they can call their architect and get things rolling to get some money back. So thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time.